right, everybody, we are back for the second part of this episode. Once again, what we're trying to do with these episodes is just kind of have the people who we are interviewing who are already telling you so much about their journey, their background, what they're building, what they're doing, and now taking an opportunity for you to learn something very important from them. So, the fun thing that we're going to address today is basically this checklist for what you should be thinking about and what you should be doing if you have an idea for a community based business and you just don't know what to do with it. Like, so many things are coming to mind, and it's like, where do I start? All right. Chelsea's going to walk us through what you need to think and what you need to do. I'll get quiet. It's all yours, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question because it's like something that I did not do when I was coming up with Appcelerator. I didn't really have a formulaic checklist or strategy, honestly, on how I was going to do this thing. I just started and eventually found my way. So I think it's really important for those that are listening to understand sometimes that will lead you to a really great product, but being organized in your approach and having sort of this checklist, I think will also be helpful. So when I really reflect on what would have helped me get started with Appcelerator, I think about, number one, have I told somebody else this idea? Like first you have to speak that idea or that thing, that dream that you have inside of you to someone else and get feedback. I think, talking to people in my circle about Appcelerator at the beginning, people are like, I don't get it. Or are you sure that so-and-so is your target demographic? Or I think that's a really great idea. Have you also thought about this? And so getting that constructive feedback, but also that positive feedback from others that you're sharing with is going to be really helpful for you to either refine your strategy and your approach or just take it to the next level or step back and say, have I really thought about the problem that I'm trying to solve? And does this get to that? I think a lot of people are afraid of sharing their ideas with other people because they think they're going to steal the idea. I know I was one of those people too. Rest assured, no one can do your idea like you can do it. And also, people just don't have time sometimes. Like everyone's like, oh, I want to be a founder. I want to start this thing. And they never do because they're not focused and intentional. So I think don't be afraid to share your idea because you think someone's going to steal it because some people just don't have time to do your idea like you do. So I think first, just talk to people. Second, think about, again, what is it that I'm really trying to solve? Not having a clear problem statement and an answer to that problem statement means that you don't necessarily have a clear value proposition either. And so you're going to build something that people aren't going to adopt, or it's not really clear to people that you want to be in partnership with what they're buying into. And so I would say spend a lot of time asking the 5 whys of your problem and figuring out, okay, is this the level of detail that is required for me to build something great? Or do I have to continue to think about this in a way that answers the question of, what is the problem and is my solution really addressing it? And I think the other things that are really important are sort of, if you guys have heard of the 4 P's of marketing: price, product, place, promotion, be thinking of the 4 P's for that community building platform that you're thinking of doing. So when it comes to that product, is a community the thing that I need to be building? And if so, where's the right place for that? Is it a Facebook group? Is it a LinkedIn group? Is it a Discord or Reddit channel? Is it its own platform? Be thinking of the product and the place, because that is where the community is going to find each other. And once you have that sort of thing figured out, then you can start to think about features and how do I iterate on those things. But also be thinking about promotion. How are people going to find this community? I know a lot of us remember the days that Clubhouse was hot, and we found out about Clubhouse because our friends were referring to us, because celebrities like Meek Mill and business people like Elon Musk were up there talking, and we wanted to hear what the heck they were saying. And so when you think about promotion, think about, is it going to be word of mouth and referral based that people get invited to this community? Or is it going to be more accessible? Am I going to be posting it on TikTok and LinkedIn and all these other places so people can find me? And I think the last thing to really be thinking about is your pricing strategy, because at the end of the day, businesses have to have capital to sustain themselves. And so oftentimes with communities, you can find those for free.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to have a platform where anybody can be on that thing. Or are there specific elements of the platform that you have to pay a little bit extra to tap into? Or are there going to be big corporations that subsidize the experience of your users on that platform? Can I connect to a Deloitte, or can I connect to a CVS and they sponsor what I'm doing so that others can have this experience that doesn't necessarily have a barrier in terms of pricing for me to be able to use this platform? So I think those are just a number of the things that I had to consider. And I, again, didn't have this like checklist that Juju is recommending, but I think it's the perfect thing to really help ground you and figure out, am I the right person for this job? Have I talked enough about it with other people so that they can give me feedback? And am I thinking about it in the context of the 4 Ps of product, price, place, and promotion?
That was solid. That was solid. And I guess my follow-up question to that would be, do you feel like that list was a mixture of things to think and do, or do you feel like you have other items for the doing part?
Ooh, yeah, the doing I think is interesting because I think that helps you with the idea generation and the strategy, and it'll inform your execution. So once you've sort of built that roadmap and that checklist of things that you're going to do, going back to what I was speaking about in the previous episode about where do I focus, you got to be able to look at that list and say, okay, where do I start? What do I need to do first? Do I need to have the centralized platform to be able to build a community, or do I need to be building relationships before I even get to that point to make sure that we have the right people on the platform? Do I need to understand, is this a free and accessible platform, or do I need to have conversations with companies to say, hey, would you seed me $5,000, $10,000 so I can build this thing and make it free to users? So without having that really formulaic checklist in the beginning, it might be unclear where to focus and execute without having that sort of roadmap.
I love that. That's how you answer that question. That was well, that was really solid to me. For everybody who was listening, once again, like the game plan for this episode was really for you to have like your notepad and your pen out, or your notes app on your Mac laptop open, where you're really just sitting there itemizing like all of these different things that Chelsea just mentioned, that for you to transform this idea into an actual business, well, these are the things that you got to think about. These are the things that you have to do. And there could be more, but let's start with these. Let's make it happen. It's important to try it out, right? Let's not get too stuck on the research and getting caught up on what your competitors are doing, like Chelsea had mentioned. You just got to get to work. And I feel like that's why your list was so powerful, Chelsea. So that was great.
Thanks. I wish I had somebody to kind of give me that confidence in the very beginning and just, help me understand too. It's not a perfect linear trajectory when it comes to founding something or starting something new. You're going to bump your head. You're going to have someone tell you like, that's a dumb idea, or that's a really good idea. Like, I want to connect you to so-and-so to be able to, force more to multiply what you're doing. So I think just getting a bit organized in the beginning would have helped me. And I hope it helps your listeners that are thinking about starting something or founding even a community of their own.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea, once again. You gave us a phenomenal part 1 to this episode and a really solid part 2 to the episode. For everybody listening who actually checked in with us for this one, I want to say thank you all so much for giving us some more of your time. And I hope you thought it was worth it. And I'm sure you probably do feel that way. But once again, thank you so much, Chelsea, and thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thanks.
Thank you all.